A ship was blown up, all passengers were killed. The police have passed through memories of the dead, find out the culprit. This is a classic science fiction film. Source code. On a train running in the suburbs, there was a man who just woke up from a dream. Where am I? What can I do? The girl in the opposite was talking to him. Looks like the two know each other. A passenger is not careful and spills soda on his shoes. The service staff went to check the tickets. The men nearby complained too late. The girl asked, Sean, what's wrong with you? The man could not help it anymore. Told the girl, I don't know you. I'm not Sean either. I'm pilot Coulter Stevens. In Afghanistan. The girl revealed an unbelievable smile. The train came to a station. A guy with blown hair called a passenger who just got off the train. Hey, you dropped your wallet. Turns out this is the railroad, connecting suburbs of Chicago and the city. The man went to the bathroom, took out the wallet. The name on the identity was Sean, a teacher. He was extremely scared to step slowly forward. Guess what he saw? It was a completely strange face. Is this really soul swap? The man was so lost. When he went out of the toilet, he met the girl. She comforted him. Everything would be fine. Then, the lieutenant awoke in a wet iron box. Where is this? He only saw one video. A female officer told him, you are now on a mission. That is finding the bomb on the last ship, and finding out the culprit. You have 8 minutes. Go ahead. The lieutenant has not yet answered. When he was taken back to the last train, still that girl, still that soft drink, and still check tickets. This is definitely some kind of simulation training. The lieutenant recalled a bit. The exploded position was probably in the toilet area. The intuition of military personnel is certainly good. He found very quickly a large amount of bombs on the ceiling. Above is a set of equipment. Definitely a detonation timer. The lieutenant pretended to be a security guard. Notice all passengers. Turn off all electronic devices. But it was too late. The bomb still went off. The lieutenant returned to that iron box. He asked with an angry voice, when will the training finish? The officer had to tell the truth. This is not training simulation. At 7:40 this morning, a train from Chicago Station was exploded. No one survived, including Sean. According to the terrorists, they made a lot of bombs. So you have to go back and find them. You still have 8 minutes. 8 minutes later I would still be blown up. That's right. On the third time, the lieutenant was fluent. He avoided the freshwater hit. He brings out train tickets. Also asks about the waiter. Is anyone strange on this ship? The waiter answered in a low voice. You are the strange person here. The girl opposite is Christina. She and Sean knew each other on this train. The lieutenant opened Sean's notebook. It wrote the appointment with the girl. It proves that Sean has secretly loved this girl for a long time. They watched the passengers together, but all are very normal. Suddenly a man came out from the toilet. At that time, the train had just arrived at the station. The lieutenant immediately followed, but halfway back, he wanted the girl to get off with him. He looked at her. There is no time to explain. The lieutenant firmly kissed her. Just like that, what Sean hesitated for a long time was resolved by the lieutenant in 1 second. After getting off the train, the lieutenant followed the mysterious man. The man looked at the lieutenant with warning eyes. The lieutenant snatched the suitcase from the man's hand. At this moment the train exploded. The lieutenant was amazed. Oh no, the culprit was not this man. The lieutenant was suddenly pushed into the railroad tracks, and pushed away by the running train. He came back to the iron box again. Sean said, I have mistakenly identified the culprit, but still saved a girl. If let me go back again, I can save more people. But the head standing next to him said, wrong, you can't save anyone. They only exist in the source code sequence. Turns out, the so-called source code was a secret experiment for the military. Simply speaking, humans after death, the brain's magnetic energy would not disappear immediately, but temporarily store. Source code effects is to preserve the last memory of the dead. The teacher's brain magnetic field was extremely compatible with the lieutenant. So what the lieutenant saw was Sean's death scene 8 minutes before. Source code cannot change history, can only reproduce memories. The head urged him. Now Chicago has begun large-scale population evacuation. The second wave of attacks will soon happen. Time is running out. The female officer provided more news. In the second floor, there is a pistol. This time, the lieutenant did not say much. He directly found the gun, but was discovered soon after, then immediately beaten by electric batons. When he woke up, he discovered himself locked. He knew he was not in time. He turned to question the girl. What would you do if you only had 1 minute to live? I do not know. He said, I want to call my parents, and say sorry to them. Everything's gonna be alright. The lieutenant, after 4 times death in a row, began to doubt everything. He once again asked to contact his family, but the female officer only said a little. He was forcibly sent on the train of death. The girl came to comfort. He had an idea. He said he had a friend in the army, asked the girl if she can help him find his whereabouts. After that, it was very difficult for him to borrow a phone. Waiting line, the girl walked over and said, the friend he said, Lieutenant Stevens, 2 months ago, while on duty, died. The lieutenant shook his head while crying. Memoir. Y appeared in his eyes, which proved the girl's words. Returning to the experimental compartment, he asked, am I dead? The female officer admitted implicitly. It turned out that after the lieutenant died, the cerebrum is not completely dead. He was sent to this secret facility. All his feelings are signals that computers simulate. Even this experimental compartment is just an illusion. The lieutenant was angry, but there's no point. Then the head committed to him, just complete this task, then he will let him rest. The lieutenant had to endure death over and over again. The source code is just a piece of Sean's memory, but the lieutenant's feelings every time he died is real. He almost collapsed. To encourage him, the head sent a recording to the lieutenant's parents. In the past, their relationship was not good, until the lieutenant's death. The father felt regret. I've never understood him. I can't believe he's gone. The lieutenant calmly turned back to teleport again. This time he removed the phone attached to the bomb, and found out the last contact number. The phone rang not far away. It turned out that the young man had lost his wallet. The lieutenant chased after, seeing the blonde giving the wallet, but after only a few steps, he threw it back into the compartment. This is no longer suspicion. At the same time, the train suddenly started. The lieutenant had to jump down. He understood, the culprit deliberately dropped the wallet. It was to create fake evidence, for being in the car. This time he couldn't escape the lieutenant. The culprit was exposed, but he was not scared at all. He opened the car door, full of dynamites inside. Inside that thing is likely a central processing core. The culprit revealed a triumphant and said, this kind of explosive cannot be made by everyone. When the lieutenant didn't notice, the culprit suddenly opened fire. The lieutenant fell. Before dying he asked, why did you do that? The culprit said, this world is dead, I want to make it collapse again. At that moment, the explosion far away reached. Black smoke piled up. Why? He obviously took off that phone. The lieutenant with the question went back to the iron box. Declare the name and license plate of the culprit. The police immediately took action to get rid of this danger. The head is promoted. Of course he wouldn't keep his promise to let the lieutenant rest in peace. Source code is good, but it still needs the intervention of human consciousness. He decided to erase the lieutenant's memory, forcing him to forever serve the source code. At the same time, the lieutenant also figured out. He said to the female officer, I want to be on that train again, to rescue the passengers on it, even though it's just a part of the program, a part of memory. The female officer hesitated. This is also the first time we see her perspective. The lieutenant, although just existed in terror, maze of thinking, she did not see him at all, which only the written expression could be seen, and the lieutenant's real body, located in a box not far away. The female officer distracted her colleagues. After this operation, I will destroy the source of your life sustaining. This last 8 minutes. The lieutenant especially cherished it. First he invited that girl to drink coffee. Teacher Sean was always bored before, now suddenly went to tease her. The girl was quite surprised. Then he found the dynamite. As expected, there was another phone behind. The lieutenant invalidated both. Then went to arrest the culprit, handcuffed him, and alerted the police right in the front, revealed his plans. The culprit suddenly burst into tears. This ruthless murderer turned out to be very weak. Then the lieutenant phoned home, pretend to be his friend. He always wanted to say, I'm sorry. 8 minutes passed very quickly. The lieutenant took all the money he had, negotiated with the fat guy, bet on whether he can make everyone in the cabin laugh. The fat guy is a comedian. He made everyone unable to stop laughing. While, the head discovered the female officer's plans. Goodwin, open this damn door. He has completed his job, sir. She pressed the button. Time and source code stopped. Everything in the compartment seemed to froze. Everyone was smiling. Also in the real world, the lieutenant finally passed away. At that moment, an unexpected thing occurred. Look, the system that sustains life has stopped. But the simulated world hasn't collapsed. It turned out that the lieutenant soon had figured it out. If this 8 minutes is just a piece of personal memory, how could such a turn of events arise? Even that included, going through a car park that never existed? The only explanation is, every time source code was activated, another parallel world was created. In the last parallel world, the bomb explosion didn't happen. It was just a peaceful morning with warm sunshine. The female officer has just arrived at the office, and got a message. That was from Sean from another world. The lieutenant of this world, still lay in that box. That passionate head, still waited for the opportunity to demonstrate the power of source code. It can be said, this movie is a medicine of science fiction. If only you lived 8 minutes more, how would you live? After countless deaths of Sean, every single second became meaningful.